Beautiful. How do you think the building will age? I mean, it just opened last year, right? 2024.
Yeah, the building opened maybe 2 years ago, and we opened the park last year.
Okay. How do you think it would age within 10 years and within 50?
With grace and beauty and patina. No, but actually one thing we've done with all the materials, and maybe there's a whole second half of this talk where we could talk about materialism, which is another interest of mine these days. But because we are the clients and the architects and the users, we could allow ourselves to be dogmatic in a way. So we actually don't have the typical drywall and paint that you would have in a typical building. So the entire building is what it is because it does what it does. For instance, like all the buildings, when you look across the basin to Aarhusgadekvarteret, all the buildings you see, I believe without exception, are concrete buildings. But they look like brick buildings or metal buildings. And on the inside, they look like drywall with paint. But they are all concrete buildings because concrete has a lot of attributes that are good for building buildings. But then we cover it with something else. We felt it could be interesting to actually not cover it. And it has a lot of advantages also. One that I think is interesting is when concrete cures, it hardens by capturing CO2 from the air. So over the lifetime of the building, it can recarbonize, it's called, between 5 and in extreme cases, 20% of the CO2 that was emitted in the making of the concrete. But it only does it if you don't cover it. So an exposed concrete building is more sustainable than one that is covered. A second thing about the concrete that I think is funny is we looked at different materials. We just finished the most environmentally friendly factory in the world in Norway, and it's all made out of locally sourced Norwegian timber. And we thought it could be beautiful to try to make a building out of wood for ourselves. But of course, we're surrounded by salt water on 3 sides, so we would have to coat it with some kind of toxic paint or whatever and redo it on the outside. And then on the inside, you can only have 25% timber surface on the walls. And we have that already on the north wall where we have all our meeting rooms. So we would have to cover all the other timber. So slowly it became clear. And then we would have to sprinkle the building. We couldn't make it naturally ventilated. And all these things just meant that suddenly, to our surprise, the timber building in this case would not be the most sustainable choice. And then we found that we worked with Portland Cement to test a new product where they replace a third of the cement in the concrete with clay, which has the effect that it lowers the carbon footprint of the cement with a third, but it also makes the concrete warm. So if you go inside the building, you can see we have curtains, and we got like all the gray and beige samples from Kvadrat that we could get because we wanted to somehow match the concrete with the curtains. And to our surprise, the curtains that match the concrete are the beige ones because the concrete is a lot warmer because of the clay content. So in some way, it was a long answer to your question about how the building with patina, but because the building, you know, when paint gets old, it starts peeling and it starts paling and it starts getting scratched. So day one, the paint looks beautiful. And then it just deteriorates. Whereas with real materials, of course, the wood will have imperfections. It kind of darkens, it grays, it even withers a little bit. But because of the genuine character of the material, the authenticity of the material, it actually starts becoming beautiful, even though you can see that's an old piece of wood. Yeah. You find it attractive. And I think all materials, stone, wood, concrete, have that attribute, whereas a coat of paint really looks good the first day, and then it's just
downhill from
straight downhill.